Did you book this vacation with your platinum Amex? That was what a guy told me that I had just barely met. I had said hello to him just a couple of minutes earlier, but I thought it was a strange question coming from somebody who I didn't even know. And I politely responded, no, even though I'm thinking in my head, that's a pretty personal question for somebody I just said hello to just a couple of minutes ago. And right as I said no, he leaned into me and whispered, almost like we were in a Mission Impossible movie, probably one of my favorite franchises of all time, by the way. But he leans in like he's a secret agent and he whispers, the next time, if you do, you'll get a complimentary room upgrade, and this breakfast that you and your wife just paid for will be all complimentary. And it blew my mind because it was something that I didn't really understand. It's a thing that I didn't know about. It was a benefit that was my right. It was a benefit that was afforded to me because of the membership that I had, but I didn't know about it. And when he let me know about it, then every single time that we booked a vacation, I made sure to let my wife know we've got the Platinum Amex. We want to be able to book on it, and then that way, when we would get there, we would book whatever room it was, and we would get the complimentary upgrade. And I would always say to the person, "I just want to make sure that our breakfast is taken care of." Also, why was that? Because it was a benefit that came with my membership. It was my right to be able to have that. And so God was dealing with me yesterday on it, and he was telling me, he said, first of all, you have to know me to be able to understand your benefits. And when you know me and you understand those benefits, then you could demand the blessing that I have designed for you. And this hit me like a ton of bricks because there's a lot of times where we're taught that we have to ask really nicely. Well, you have to ask really nicely if you don't understand the benefits. But when we stand in, we have a relationship with God, and that's what he calls us to be able to do. And he calls us to that relationship at a level, on a personal level, because he wants us to get to know him so well and understand how he designed us. So that way we could turn back around and we could have the spirit of Jacob and say, I demand the blessing that you have designed for me. And it was incredible because in Proverbs 19, it calls us not only to know the benefits of being a child of God, but he calls us to demand the blessings that are designed for each and every one of us. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never know, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
Imagine that. Imagine demanding something. Imagine standing in the presence of God and demanding. This was a thing that my pops told me years ago. He came out of the garage and he was a little angry. And I was like, Pop, what's up? What's going on? And he said, I was just yelling at God. I was, whoa, you better watch out there. And he said, no, I was yelling at God. That's what he wants us to do. And, you know, when he wants to have a personal relationship with us, and that personal relationship, sometimes we'll be yelling, sometimes we'll be whispering, sometimes we'll be listening, but he wants a relationship. If you're feeling that thing, he wants us to yell out. He wants us to cry out. And it was hard in the study yesterday because I was sitting down and I was hearing this, that he wanted me to demand the blessings that he designed for me. Now, there's a caveat. If we start demanding things that weren't designed for us, that's where we'll get into challenges. And especially if we don't know the benefits. If we don't understand things, we can't demand them. But when you understand them and you understand that that's what you were designed for, then the demand is not something that you're thinking, oh, well, I'm taking advantage. It's not taking advantage at all. It's just demanding what was designed for you. And most of the time, we don't stand in the gap with the spirit of Jacob, and the spirit of Jacob meant that he wrestled with the angel all night, and he grabbed a hold of him, and the angel was like, "Here, I'll pop your hip out of place," and he's like, "I'm not going to let go." And this was a what my pops called a pit bull mentality when I was growing up. He said you got to have a pit bull mentality, and that's that you lock your jaws onto whatever it is that you desire, and you don't let go until you take the limb or they kill you. Either one is fine. And this type of thought process, I always thought, man, I could apply this to anything. But what God was saying is, I want to sharpen your skills. I want to focus you in, and you can lock in and have a pit bull mentality to anything that I designed for you. But for you to understand what I designed for you, then you have to spend a little bit of time with me. And so this demand part is something that I don't know that a lot of people, it's a place where I think a lot of us don't go to, because we think that we have to come begging. And this was a thing that my pops worked with me on too, is he was like, God doesn't ask us to beg. What he wants us to do is demand the things that were designed for us. And how can we know that? So in Proverbs 19, it rolled it down. It rolled it down, and it helped us to understand that, with these little inchstones, right? And so this is not going to happen overnight. An inchstone is a small thing in your life that's celebrated that you can focus in on. Once it's celebrated and piled up, then the milestones become inevitable. Well, Inchstones is what the episode of or this part of the show is, and we run through the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. And today is Easter. Happy Easter to every single one of you. And hopefully the Easter baskets are amazing. Hopefully you guys get to be able to spend some time with your family. And I actually got up earlier than my family, so I get a chance to spend time with my family, spend time with you. And I want to encourage you with these inchstones. So I get overwhelmed a lot of times because I think that I just need to get to a point where I see this vision, then I accomplish the vision. I see the vision, I accomplish the vision. That would be the exact same thing as jumping from mountaintop to mountaintop to mountaintop. And I can tell you that's not going to happen. From personal experience, it's not going to happen. There's going to be a mountaintop. There's going to be a valley. Choose the valley, because the valley is made for rest to get you powered up to climb the next mountain. And that's what we talk about with these little tiny inchstones, these little tiny things. And we actually came out with the workbook. It just came out on Tuesday. I'm holding it up if you're listening on Apple. It's a workbook that'll take you through 3 months of Proverbs and the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. You write down what verse hit your heart, what it made you think about, and then what action can you add to it today. It'll take you about 15 minutes total time as far as writing and reading, but it's a nice way to be able to start your day. And I tell you, if your boss did this, I guarantee you have a better culture in your company. If the leadership in your company, you would see a better, more productive team. If your husband did it, you're going to see, fruit in your marriage. Your wife did it, you're going to see fruit. If the husband and wife did it, I tell you, and for me, what I would say is, obviously getting a teenager to do anything right now, I've got 2 of them, and if you force them to do anything, but I tell you, any teenager that did, they would see a tremendous, tremendous result also. So let's go into Proverbs 19, which is our inchstone today, and it calls us not only to know the benefits of being a child of God, but calls us to demand the blessings that are designed for us. And first of all, you got to get to a point where you know, and the way that you know is spending time with the Word, spending time with God as much as humanly possible, and it just starts little bit by little bit, and it goes back to that inchstones theory. So in verse 1 of Proverbs 19, God ain't playing; He wants your attention. And there's all different ways that He's going to get your attention. There's going to be ways that He's going to work with you on challenges in your life, and it'll draw you to your knees. It's not that He's bringing the challenges and punishing you. This is where a lot of people get off. They say, oh, wow, I did this and I'm getting punished. No, you did that, and there's a consequence to it. And that consequence sometimes is challenging. And so most of us get mad at God because of our silly decisions. We're like, oh, well, God is this way or that way. It's like, no, you made a silly decision. You planted a silly seed. You're going to get a silly crop. It doesn't mean that you can't come back from it. Although what God wants us to know is that He ain't playing, and He just wants our attention. And He's going to get our attention in any way that we can. or any way that he can. The challenge is when things are going well, generally he doesn't have our attention because we get our things or our mind focused on the circumstantial part of success. Like, when things go right in your business, you're not looking at, oh, wow, where did this come from? Most of the time we're looking at, oh man, I'm beating my chest. I'm trying to expand it. When we have a challenge, we start to look at, oh, what did I do? And God is saying, like, I'll use anything. I just want your attention. And I'm not playing with you because I want you to understand who I am. And when you understand who I am, then you'll understand who you are through me. And you'll understand the blessings that were designed for you. And once you understand those things, then you can demand them. And as we go through in verse 2, you cannot demand what you don't know. And I see this in debates a lot of times. Charlie Kirk is a big one that you're seeing right now, where people will go into a debate, but they're not as prepared as what Charlie Kirk is. Now, I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk is right in all of the things, but he's a hell of a lot more prepared for that debate than most of the people who stand up to the mic. And when he starts to question some of their thought process, he's already prepared for it. They're not prepared for it, so they can't demand his attention. And he has the ability now. He already has the audience, and the audience is there to listen to him anyway. But you cannot demand what you don't know. And so a lot of us run around in life and we're demanding blessings from God, but we actually don't know the backstory of it. We don't understand what it is, and we don't understand what is designed for us. And in verse 3, don't blame God for your silly decisions. This is probably one of my favorite verses in verse 3 in all of Proverbs, because it's one of those things that we all do. We get mad. We get so mad, or we blame God, and we say, oh, wow. We say these things, right? We say all things work out for the good of everything, right? Or we say everything happens for a reason. But then when something happens that we put into play and we don't like it, then we have the tendency to sometimes blame God on that. And God is saying, like, I ain't playing with you. I want your attention. The only way you could demand something is if you know it. So I just want to encourage you, don't blame God for your silly decisions. And when you make a silly decision, you're going to get a silly result. That's just silliness is just the absence of wisdom. And wisdom comes from the fear of God. And when we get wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge, then we can bring knowledge in. That'll give us understanding, insight. It'll give us discretion. It'll give us discernment. It'll give us discipline. It'll give us strength, and it'll lead us right back to the fear of God, which is the respect of God. But just be conscious of these silly decisions, and silly decisions are just decisions made without considering wisdom or not having wisdom filled up in our heart. And how can we do that? Just by spending time with him and understanding like all the features and benefits of a relationship with him. In verse, 4, 6, and 7, this verse was great. It was the little red hen. Like, you cannot expect to eat the bread when you haven't put in on the bread. I remember this story when I was a kid. It was probably one of my favorites as a little kid, that and they reworded it. And the scene I remember in Friday, you can't have none of this if you didn't put in on it, man. Like, you think of Smokey and Craig sitting on the stoop, and they're talking back and forth, and they say that is a iconic scene. You didn't put in on this. If you didn't put in on this, you can't have any of it. And the little red hen was that story when we were kids, when I was a kid at least, that the little red hen went around to all the barnyard animals and said, hey, will you help me make my bread? They said, no, I don't got no time. And then the little red hen got so frustrated, went home, just cooked the bread. And then all the farm animals could smell the bread coming off the windowsill as the little red hen was letting it cool. Then everybody came up and said, can I have a piece? They said, no, you didn't put in on this, man. And so what God is saying is, if you want a part of the harvest, you have to plant the seeds. But to be able to plant the seeds, you have to get them. And to be able to get them, you have to demand them. But to demand them, you have to know what they are. You can't demand something that you have no idea what it is. In verse 5, when you own the truth, you have paid the price. Paying the price. What's crazy is the simplest price is just spending a little bit of time. Now, in the workbook at Inchstones, it's literally 15 minutes. Take we did the WEB version of Proverbs, and it's 3,000-year-old wisdom. So it's not from a religion. It's not from a ritual. It's just from a relationship. And saying, like, I'll just read this 3,000-year-old wisdom that has gone through the test of time. And I'll read through that. I'll figure out what hit my heart that day, which is going to be a different verse because your circumstances are going to be different. What hit my mind? What did it make me think of? And then what action can I add to it today? It's that simple. And that's paying the price for wisdom, because wisdom comes from the fear of God. And the fear of God is just nothing but the respect of God. In verse number 8, wisdom and understanding bring great benefits. In verse 9 through 11, silliness will bring silly results, and silliness is just the lack of wisdom. The truth always wins, and when wisdom is present, patience is plentiful. Sit in that one for a second. When wisdom is present, patience is plentiful. How many of you have ever lost your patience? Well, when we lose our patience, it just means that we don't have the understanding of knowledge, which is wisdom. And when we lose that, most of the time, we just get in a rush. The newsletter this week, I would suggest you check it out. It was just talking about slowing down. It was a time where I went to jump my daughter's car. As I'm doing it, I'm in such a rush. I'm on the phone, I'm texting, I'm posting, I'm doing all these things. And then I roll in and I'm like, I'm going to be super dad. And then I connected the positive to the negative and the negative to the positive. And I straight spiked the computer and I blew out her stereo. All because I didn't slow down. So I want to invite you here that if you want to be present with people, you have to have patience. And for that to happen, wisdom has to be present in your life. And the only way that we could get wisdom is through the fear of God. And that he'll bring it into our heart. And then that way you could go get any knowledge you want to get, because now you'll be able to understand that knowledge, have insight into it, gain discretion, or gain discernment into it, gain discretion, discipline, strength, and it'll lead you right back. That's all in the Inchstones workbook too, so you don't have to do any of the work. I did a year and a half of working. It was my wife's idea to create the Inchstones workbook. It was my wife's idea, a year and a half of work on this book, and then 30 years of study to be able to create a 15-minute routine for you in the morning that will fill you up with wisdom. So in verse 12, speak life to those around you. And this is probably what I'd beg you to do, especially here on Easter, is speak life into your family. And the way that you speak life is, number one, use their name. Not, hey, you, hey, over there. I just wanted to tell you, use their name. Maddox, I want to tell you how proud I am for your leadership on Friday. And when we got in the car and got into the truck after the game, and the game didn't go that well because we didn't win and the hustle wasn't there and all those things, we got a chance to talk, and I got a chance to be able to hear the leadership that you had in you, and you took responsibility for exactly what happened. McKenna, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you for calling me last night after your performance, and you went to In-N-Out and you went to your friend's house, and you were calling me each time to let me know I'm going to be a little bit late, I'm going to be a little early, whatever it was, and the communication was there. And at 16 years old, I want you to understand that that is amazing. And my beautiful wife, who plays Easter Bunny, who plays all the different roles in the family. Last night, when I know you were tired, I know you asked me to go to Target, and you wanted to make sure that everyone got exactly what they needed for today. And I want to thank you so much, Brooklyn, for that. You see, you use the person's name and you use a couple specific things, and literally it changes the whole environment. We just did this with the Vibe Experience in Salt Lake City, and it was unreal. And people were like, oh, wow, this was magic. And so many people told me that it was the best conference that they had ever been to. And they were like, it was magic. To me, it wasn't magic. To me, it was running down exactly and putting in play exactly what I read on a day-to-day basis, the corresponding proverb, corresponding day, studying wisdom and a relentless pursuit of just wisdom. And then it tells you exactly what to do. So speak life in love to all of those around you. In verse 13 13, this made me think of my brother. Family first and all else will follow. If you focus on your family, not the industry, not impacting 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, all those things, you focus on the people who sit around the dinner table with you, the ripples from that will be unimaginable. And I learned that from my brother, Big Rob. And I want to give you a huge shout out too, man. You're a huge inspiration. Can't wait to golf with you this week. In verse 14 through 16 and verse 24, stuff and things can be bought and acquired, although relationships take an investment of time. Laziness never wins. Now, laziness is not the opposite of just being busy or just being, constantly in motion. God calls us to be in action and say to it, like, he wants you to invest time in relationships. You can't speed through relationships. You could buy stuff. You can acquire stuff. You can inherit stuff. You can't inherit a friendship, a relationship. You have to spend time with that. And that's what God is calling us to do, because the more and more that we have a relationship, whether it be with our wife or our kids, anything like that, we get to know who they are. We get to know who they are in that relationship, and then we can demand who they were designed to be. And that's what God is calling us to be able to do. But you cannot demand something, especially like you can't demand something of your kids that they don't know anything about and that you don't know anything about. Don't get yourself into that trick. In verse 17 through 19, generosity, discipline, and a peaceful spirit are benefits of wisdom. Let me say it again. Generosity, discipline, and a peaceful spirit. How many of you would like all three of those? They're all benefits of seeking wisdom, and wisdom is the right use of knowledge, and the right use of knowledge comes from fear of God or the respect of God. In verse 20, listen and accept wisdom, and silliness won't have a chance. Listen and accept wisdom and store it up in your heart. And silliness, you'll see it from a mile away. It won't even have a chance to come in, because silliness is the absence of wisdom. In verse 21, God thinks our plans are cute. He would rather have us align with his. We make all these plans. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And then something happens. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had this happen, but I had all the things listed out exactly the way that I was going to go. And then bang, something happens. Someone passes away. A car accident happens. Something else happens. And you know what? There's no way that you could prepare for those things. And what God is saying is, come to me, spend time with me, understand the benefits of what being a child of God is. And I just listed off a couple of them: generosity, discipline, and a peaceful spirit. That comes from wisdom, and wisdom comes from spending time with God. So when we understand and know the benefits of being a child of God, then we could demand him. We could stand in his face and say, look, you told me that you work all things for the good of those who love you and who are called according to your purpose. You said that. I'm going to stand in that. You said that you would take care of my family. In verse 22 through 23, we are built to know him. And when we do, we can demand blessing. Every one of us on this planet, or another planet, now we're moving to other planets, things like that. Every person on this planet was built to know him. And when we do, then we can demand the blessing that he designed for us. And finally, as we finish up in verse 25 and 26, is speak life in love and truth. And what I wrote was, you don't want that smoke. When you choose other things outside of him and you don't understand the things that were designed for you, and then you just go demanding things all over the place that you have no backing for. You don't want any of that smoke, because most of the time we ask for things and we have no idea what the ramifications of that thing is. And what he's calling us to do is simply just have a relationship with him. If you stop seeking, you will stop listening. When you stop listening, you will stop accepting. When you stop accepting, You will block the understanding. When you block the understanding, you stop knowing. When you stop knowing, you cannot demand blessing. It was tough yesterday because as I sat in this proverb, God was calling me to demand and stand in his face and say, I want you to demand the blessing that I designed for you. But first, I need you to understand it. And to be able to understand it, you have to seek it. And once you seek it and you start to know it, then you can understand it. And when you understand it, you can demand it. Studying the benefits of anything takes time. Your complimentary room upgrade and breakfast are waiting for you to first understand that they are available and then demand them until they're yours. That's the little whisper that I want to say into your ear today. I want to encourage every single one of you that God has blessings for you. He has blessings personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially. But he first wants you to know him and to understand who you are in him. And when that starts to happen, you'll understand what the benefits of being a child of God is. And then once you understand it, then you could demand it. And I ask that every one of you stand in those demands because God has beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things for each and every one of your lives. I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Inchstones. Happy Easter to all of you. Spend some time with your family. I love you a ton. Thank you guys so much for picking up the Inchstones workbook too. If you haven't picked it up, it's in the link in the bio. And the Vibe Experience is coming in September and is coming to Carlsbad, California. So it's my honor and my pleasure to spend time with each and every one of you. My name is Kelly Cardenas. Happy Easter. And I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain we